Gonna throw it. Slant. This bug's for you, Mizzou.
They are carving up this LSU defense.
You don't get no better than that, man.
Now Cook's going to throw the deep ball, and Burton's past the defense. Touchdown, Luther Burton. 47 yards.
Good place. Kick is up. It is. Yes. A walk-off winner from 61. Harrison Mevis.
This is the Mizzou-cast.
Howdy, Tiger fans. This is the Mizzou-cast. I'm your host, Brendan Anthony. Joining me, as always, is my longtime brother, Colin Anthony.
What's up, dum-dums?
We are coming to you Sunday night after Missouri has beaten the South Carolina Gamecocks 29-20. Colin, before we get into this, because I know you're going to have a lot to say about it.
Sure.
I think we should just build this up by talking about what this game has meant, what it meant on our schedule all along. I think South Carolina came into this season 11 in the country. People were talking about them as almost like a sure bet to be in the college football playoff.
Ridiculous from the beginning.
Right. And we knew, just looking at our schedule with the hopes that we had to get past this game because we had a slew of teams like Alabama, Auburn, Oklahoma, Texas A&M on our schedule, and we had to get through South Carolina before we had any chance of looking at those with a serious thought of a playoff or some type of big season ahead of us. So that all builds up. Plus, we lost to them last year, and I know Eli Drinkowitz remembers that. He mentioned it in his press conference in the week before.
I think at this point, based on our performances in the past few years against South Carolina, we'll just call that a fluke.
It definitely was because we beat them 5 years prior, and then we beat them again, obviously, yesterday. So it's definitely a fluke. But the thing of the matter, the fact is, they wanted that trophy back. Mm-hmm. They felt like they were this close last year, and so it was that all led up to Saturday.
Yeah. It's South Carolina was a team. They really mirrored Kansas in a lot of ways. They're a quarterback. That's what South Carolina is. Yeah. Kansas has a quarterback. South Carolina's got a quarterback, and that's not to just dismiss the rest of the roster. They're not bad football teams, but I had kind of felt the same way in this game as I did against Kansas in that they were getting scores, throwing some big bombs and making some catches, and I just honestly was like, this is not sustainable. They're just not going to be able to pull this off. And I know the secondary was taking a lot of heat, and even Drinkwitz himself mentioned the secondary is got themselves in trouble. But one of those touchdowns was a blown coverage. But most of the time, our corners were in the general vicinity of where they were supposed to be, which makes me think, there's maybe some correction can happen in practice. But, Sellers is a good quarterback, and that's obvious. And he threw a lot of guys open and made a lot of big plays, but they had no rushing yards. They had negative rushing yards, and it doesn't matter how good you are. That is not a sustainable model for winning football games. And so, how many times are you going to throw long bombs and it's get them in the breadbasket? Because Sellers is a good quarterback, but he's not all world. He had made several mistakes in this game, took some bad sacks. And on that last drive where they're trying to get into position to make this game competitive in the fourth quarter, he sailed 2 balls, just flat missed the throws. And so, they all want to worship at his altar and crown him with a Heisman. And I'm just like, he's a good quarterback, no doubt about it. But, way oversold, way overhyped, as was the whole team. Again, I told Brennan when we were watching the game yesterday, it's like they need to own the fourth quarter. And they did, because that's what happened against Kansas and what's happened against this team. And that, once the sort of fluky stuff or the flash in the pan stuff is over, it just comes down to horses. And Mizzou's got a fuckload of horses. And they were just flat worn out. They were worn out of tackling Hardy. They were worn out of tackling Roberts. And our line was actually absolutely working them. And so that should give Tiger fans some optimism. The line looking very good.
In my mind, the story of this game is complete and total dominance on both lines of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Because the defensive line, as you mentioned, Sellers was a good quarterback, and he had the, especially with some of the struggles in the secondary, he could easily burn us. But because of the constant pressure we put on him at the line of scrimmage, it neutralized him to a great degree. And it does, and of course, on the offensive line, we just keep running the ball and running the ball and running the ball. And obviously, even with the absence of Caden Green, Richardson stepped in and performed very well.
Admirably.
And there didn't seem to be a drop-off in the offense. So the line of scrimmage play is really the determining factor in this game, even though it seems to be an underpinning of some of the bigger plays. But yeah, and you mentioned too, the way we handled Sellers and the performance that Sellers gave, very reminiscent of Kansas and Jalen Daniels. And to me, there's so many just like comparisons to that Kansas game, the way this game played out, the way that Missouri obviously had the better athletes, but the score just kept close the entire time. And eventually we just took care of business. All of it looked much like the Kansas game, even down to Roberts getting sort of the, back-breaking touchdown near the end of the game.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to sort of the delusion of the people setting the rankings, because this team was better than Kansas, but not by much, and they had them ranked at 11.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit, like I said, obviously they were overranked, and I think Mizzou's underranked. They still, in the coaches poll, moved Mizzou up to 19. I'm still like, guys, are you not watching the same football team I'm watching? Because they look, I'm not saying they're, top 5, but they top 15 for sure. And, burgeoning on top 10. Obviously we're going to get an opportunity to prove that we're that kind of football team, but it's a little bit frustrating, honestly. There's we just don't move up anymore. Mizzou has just got to earn every inch of it. But yeah, it was a great game for the trenches. And the good news about Richardson too, if he has another couple games like this while Green's getting healthy, when Green comes back, maybe he kicks back into left guard.
Right. And then our offensive line is still stronger. Our
left guard kicks over to right guard. And you know what I mean? Yeah.
And if you think this running game is already scary and dangerous, wait till the offensive line gets better.
Yeah, exactly. So Tollison had a couple of good plays, but he also had a couple of missed blocks.
A key one in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that last play where we're trying to get a first down, he just completely threw the defender into the legs of the back, and it was and you could see he just immediately put the hands on the helmet like, what have I done? But it didn't matter ultimately.
No, and even I think people who want to say, well, things weren't perfect, and they were not perfect. There were a lot of mistakes, but I think that people who have any sort of lingering doubts, it's because of the secondary play. Sellers burned Missouri a number of times. Drinkwitz seemed very hot under the collar about it in his post-game press conference. But Colin, I look at this team, and perhaps this is the first time us and the Mosaikists have had rose-colored, Mizzou-colored glasses on.
I feel that for good reason, though.
Yeah, I do too, but I guess everybody who has those glasses on
I feel about this team the way other Pollyanna fans have been telling me about other teams where I knew I was like, what are you guys looking at, right? This is not.
That's what
this team is finally worthy of your Pollyanna-ness. They got horses all over the field.
This is why I feel like Brett Sarver right now, Colin, because I think in years past, I could have looked at this game and the season and said, man, we're going to get fucking killed in the secondary. We got a backup kicker. Things are perilous. But I look at this game and I look at this team now because of the way the horses we've seen and the plays they've been able to make and the way this has gone. And I say, I don't see that. I see a team that made some big time mistakes, that let some long throws get away from them, that missed interception opportunities, that threw an interception at a crucial time and made some really important mistakes, doinked an extra point attempt, things like that, and yet still persevered and just ended up winning by 2 scores, nearly covering, and and just looked like a team that was far and away better than South Carolina. Good God, -9 rushing yards. And even the secondary, Colin, I'm not trying to make excuses and be Pollyanna, but Sellers is a good fucking quarterback. He's going to make plays. He's going to make team secondary look good. Next week, he's going to make somebody else's secondary look good. And it reminds me in years past where we would be like, fuck, we can't tackle. God damn it, we can't bring this guy down. I'm like, yeah, but the guy is Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley makes teams look bad. Yeah. And it's the same way with Ahmad Hardy. South Carolina fans right now are going to be like, man, we missed so many tackles. It's like, Yeah, but you were missing tackles on Ahmad Hardy. Last week, it was Kansas or Central Arkansas or Louisiana. They're all missing tackles on Ahmad Hardy because anybody we play is going to miss tackles on Ahmad Hardy. So don't beat your tacklers up too much because give a little credit to the guy who's up against you.
Well, I think if you in reference to where we set in the rankings, part of it is because a lot of people don't watch the football games. They just look at the outcomes. And we did win by 2 scores. We didn't cover. But if you're paying attention to this game, if you watch this game, 3 breadbasket fucking easy interceptions just flat dropped. And then another one that would have been a really, really good interception, really extremely athletic play. I don't expect that interception to happen. But at least 2 of those were just directly in defensive back's hands. And if you catch those 2 balls, this is a bloodbath. I mean, we're a couple plays away from this not even being a ball game. So,
you mentioned Roberts got tackled on a shoestring tackle when there was open field behind him. If that tackle doesn't get made,
but those interceptions especially because the 2 of the most egregious throws that Sellers made were early in the game, and I'm like, if you catch one or both of those, I think you immediately deflate South Carolina.
Yeah, this thing collapses quickly.
Yeah, you put more points on the board, and it could have been ugly. So I think especially in the first half, Mizzou did a poor job of putting them away, did a great job of keeping South Carolina in the game ultimately. But again, I was talking to a guy today, and he was, I turned my phone off. I was so nervous, and I was like, I just wasn't nervous. I mean, the games that are going to make me nervous are when we stack up against teams that I feel like have the rosters to match up with us, because then it becomes a much more, a scary thing. You can't allow the mistakes in the secondary. You can't drop, gift turnovers and stuff. But against South Carolina and Kansas, good teams, but you can get away with it. I'm just not sure you can get away with it later on in the season. But I'm not that nervous because I see the horses on the field. Just a bunch of thoroughbreds. And then, they even said in the broadcast, talking about the athletes, Trotter is, he's Hopper, he's Bolton. I mean, he's another literally, Sunday, linebacker. Rodriguez is super fast, back there. Carnell, they've got players everywhere. Young from a defensive end standpoint, they're just, Burks hasn't bit hard on anything yet. He's not getting burned over the top. None of that stuff was on him, but is a hitter. They're just good top to bottom. And the defense, Pribula is so much fun, and Hardy and Roberts are obviously, look super impressive. But you kind of at the end of the game, you kind of are sleeping on the defense, and then you look at the stat sheet and you go, oh, -9 yards. I guess we did okay, and really forced South Carolina in a position where they were just throwing all the time. And it wasn't like they were down. They were up most of this game. Going into the fourth quarter, they were leading this game. So they weren't like they were in a position where they're playing catch up. They just were like, we can't run against their front, so we're just going to pass.
Mm-hmm. And Jalen Daniels, much like Sellers, they were running quarterbacks who they didn't do anything. It didn't even appear that it was going to be part of their game plan, because they knew that guy wasn't going to get hit hard and I guess jeopardize the rest of the season. So Sellers barely ran. Daniels in Kansas barely ran because they know what they're up against.
Yeah.
And Colin, we talked about
the speed at linebacker, especially like I said, Trotter, Rodriguez, these guys they're moving.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned when we were watching it, they on the 2-point conversion, where they sort of direct snapped it to Roberts. And I kind of wish he'd pitched that out to Pribula, because Pribula was kind of standing there. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, everybody's so fucking fast at this level. You think you're going to pitch it out there and he's just going to walk in the end zone, but there's going to be some guy that flies out there and, hits him, maybe. And it just everything happened so fast. We were watching the highlights, and I'm just like, nobody can cover for more than 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And just watching the downs, counting the seconds, and how many times these plays get off. I mean, if it's watch it at home, watch the highlights, and just start counting from the snap. 1, 2, 3. See how quickly football happens. Because sometimes I feel like watching it at home, you just don't realize how fast everything is happening.
Well, Colin, that brings me to the fact that in the first half, we had to settle for a couple of field goals. Mm-hmm. We just petered out in the red zone, which was frustrating to me, because it always appeared to me we were going to own the line of scrimmage, and we have one of the best running backs in the country. You don't have to be too cute about it. And I feel like sometimes
In the first half, we got a little happy at times.
We got just a little bit cute. And Colin, I will have to say, I'm not just saying that like it was a vanilla play calling. I think one thing people never talk about is, you mentioned football happens fast, and you've got to have fast processing power. And I feel like a lot of offensive coordinators and coaches, they get a lot of credit for being creative, or, having to calling the right play at the right time. But what people don't really give credit for, but I think is a key to a good offensive coach, is processing speed. You know what I mean? Like, you've got just a few seconds to figure out what your next play is going to be. And almost every coach in this league has a play in their playbook, which is the kind of the right play for this situation. But it's the good coaches that like pull it up immediately and are ready to go with it. And that comes from either one of two things: being super fucking smart and fast, or preparation and just knowing your goddamn playbook inside and out.
Well, South Carolina did a good job of watching for the bootlegs. They were bootlegging and rolling Pribula out a lot. And part of it was Pribula he flushed from the pocket a little fast at times. On at least 2 or 3 plays. It's not that the pocket wasn't breaking down and that it was a bad decision basically to break the pocket, but he left early. He left before he had to. And I think part of that probably is that South Carolina brought a little more pressure and a little more speed than anybody we'd seen to that point on defense.
He seemed a little bit more quaky on his feet than he had in previous games.
Obviously, still very poised. Like, don't get me wrong, he was no fainting goat out there, but he just flushed from the pocket a little fast a couple times, and I think he could have sat back there and surveyed a little bit. But ultimately, you get past the secondary, there's not a lot to complain about.
No. I mean, the offense. They figured it out.
I didn't love the way Drinkowitz milked the clock at the end. He had 3 timeouts and then burned it down to 30 seconds. And then at that point, I was like, well, we're throwing, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you've basically taken Ahmad Hardy and Roberts off the table because you have burned the clock. I didn't love that.
He is not an in-game tactician. That sort of processing speed, I don't think he's got it.
I will say this. It was obviously a conscious decision to do it. They decided we're going to run this down to we got 3 timeouts. We're going to run down to 30 seconds. And we're going to see. To me, that's not the way I would have went, considering the running backs and how well they were playing.
Yeah.
But I won't say it was like a mistake from like he just didn't realize it. It was obviously a conscious decision they made. I just didn't love the decision.
Well, and I would say 9 times out of 10, it is the smart decision. But we're operating on a situation where we don't trust our kicker all that much. Maybe he kicks it. Maybe he trusts this freshman more than we give him credit for.
Well, and
but
at this point
we haven't seen anything
in the game, I mean, we're in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, and we had been able to run the ball at will. So I'm kind of like, you got 3 timeouts and, over a minute left, you can just run.
Yeah.
Just run it. Just keep running at them until they can prove they can stop it. And, you're going to hold one of those timeouts back or whatever. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you end up kicking a field goal anyway.
Yeah.
So, I would have, again, danced with the one who brung me. I would just fed Hardy and Roberts and, held on to that last time out and see where you can get because, obviously, like I said, it ended up in a field goal anyway.
Yeah. But again, we're getting to the point where,
Picking nits.
And this was a 2-score win for the Tigers. There were mistakes to be had, and it was close way longer than we'd hoped it would be. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, I don't think anybody could have ever hoped for or expected it any better of an outcome than what we've seen so far. At 4-0, 2-score win over South Carolina, and just basically looking like we've got horses at every single position. Right. I mean,
Marquise Johnson, we need to mention him before we go to break. What a game he had. 7 catches. Gosh, let's see what I wrote down over here. 7 catches for 80 yards, had a touch, or didn't have a touchdown. That was Manning that had the touchdown. But the one-handed catch, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. My PP was still went,
Yeah. Well, we were talking about that, and I said, we make plays that, ESPN Sports Center would show the top teams in the country making in years past. We have the guys who can make those plays now.
And Norfleet's catch.
Yep.
I mean, and listen, Norfleet had the one big catch that everybody's going to remember, but I'll tell you what Norfleet did in this game is fucking hit people in the chops in the running game. He's not just a pass catcher. That guy can absolutely block. He was putting people in, just hitting people in the mouth. Very impressive. Worth mentioning. Good for Norfleet. He's an All-American, fucking without question.
I'll tell you, Colin, what doesn't feel good about big, athletic, good-looking tight ends is many years ago, I was fooling around with a gal in Columbia who was...
That seems hard to believe, but sure, go ahead.
Yeah. And she was a bartender. She picked me up. Mm-hmm. Obviously, who could resist?
You sure?
But we had a few good times together. Mm-hmm. And then, she followed me on Facebook. And so I'm like trolling around looking at what she brings to the table here, socially, creeping around. And I see there's like many, many, many pictures of her with Chase Kaufman at many a party and many events where it was clear that they spent a lot of time together. And I realized at that point that Chase Kaufman and I are Eskimo brothers.
Yeah, well, Brendan.
And I know, it's a weird feeling to just know that you did a much, much worse job. Well, and in your defense, when Chase Kaufman makes love to a woman, he probably permanently changes her skeleton. Yeah, right. Well, and it's so much so that she has to settle for the likes of me. Yeah, exactly. But it's a hard feeling to know. It's like Eskimo brothers with Chase Kaufman. Good for you. Yeah. So there's a little fun fact for you. Anyway, I think that means it's time for the break. Yeah. We'll be back with your voicemails. We're going to talk about Around the Horn with the SEC and look ahead to what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. This is the Mizzodcast.
Mizzou football is more than a game. It's a tradition that brings Tigers together, generation after generation. And for decades, one of the simplest traditions has been a symbol of our shared experience, the communal trough urinals. They've been there through victories, defeats, and everything in between. It's about connection, a place where every Tiger, no matter who they are, shares the moment. There are no CEOs or janitors, no hedge fund managers or bartenders. There are only Tigers, standing shoulder to shoulder, united in relief and camaraderie, holding on to hope and their manhood. But now, this unique piece of our history is under threat. Modern renovations could send this tradition down the drain forever. Don't let part of what makes Mizzou special be lost. We win together, we lose together, and by God, we urinate together. Join the movement and sign our petition entitled Save Mizzou's Trough Urinals at change.org, because you can't flush tradition.
Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail.
What's up, fuck nuts? It's 66 here. It's fucking game day! Oh my gosh. I was at Club E last night and they were beating my Cox. You know what that means? We're beating the Cox. Beat the Cox. Fuck the Cox. Fucking University of Spoiled Tourism. That's all it is, USC. Fuck yeah. This is my personal fucking Super Bowl. Fuck yeah!
What the fuck is going on with our secondary? That's it.
I have an erection that will not go away, and I think I will name it Jackpot. M-I-Z.
Drinkwitz 4, Beamer 1. Drinkwitz Teabags Beamer Ball.
Hey guys, I wanted to call in and summarize the game as usual, but then I remembered you guys are wanting questions this year. So my question this week is, do you think Carolina Jackpot's using his tears for lubricant or sticking with KY jelly?
Fuck King Beamer, bring back the long mailbag segment. M-I-Z.
Carolina Jackpot, where are you at, brother? You talked a lot of shit, especially after you guys won that last game. But time's up, buddy. Mizzou is back on top, and Drinkwitz has Beamer's number.
Oh, as I watch this greasy-headed fuck with his greasy face paint, Bo Perbula take the snap and the 29-20 victory for the Mizzou Tigers. And oh, I know what you guys are going to tell everybody on your podcast next week. Well, I don't know how we didn't beat them by 40 points because we absolutely dominated them. We had 300 yards rushing. They had negative 14 yards or some shit. You fucking beat us once again. Fuck it. Guys, just a goddamn disappointing performance by my fucking Gamecocks. They can't tackle. That damn running back you fuckers got's a damn beast. He's breaking tackles all over the fucking place, not just on our team, but for a lot of fuckers. Just the way that it is. we got a lot of fucking work to do. But yeah, congratulations, I guess, once again on your win. You got the one back from last year. I love you. We'll talk soon, someday. Over the rainbow. Love you. Peace. I'm out of here.
And we are back. Sounds like people were pretty excited about the game, of course. And Carolina Jackpot back on his meds, apparently.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
He was a little heated early on, but taking a little South Carolina whooping, I guess maybe calmed him down a bit, too. I don't know.
Took the starch out of him a bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Anyway, one thing I wanted to mention, Colin, you mentioned we didn't cover in the game. We were just, I think it was a 9.5, 10-point game. We ended up 9-point victors. But I want to go back to something I said last weekend. So let's go back to the Genius Cam.
And don't forget fucking hammer the over. Hammer the over.
We did cover the over.
Yep.
We did take the over by 1 point.
Yeah.
So never a doubt in my mind.
Yep.
But obviously, I knew what I was talking about.
Sure.
Anyway, let's move ahead because as exciting as this game was, there were a lot of games going on in the SEC this week. So let's go around the horn.
We break our bread at Waffle House. Our teams are pretty good. We even play some basketball when Jesus says we should. So pour a little bourbon and repeat right after me. We built a church for Saturdays and called it SEC.
Loves football.
So let's get to the first game on the docket, Colin. There are a lot of Bearcat games this weekend. Hopefully we're going to be getting fewer and fewer of those, but there's always a Bearcat snuck in there somewhere. Yep. LSU faced the Southeast Louisiana Bearcats, and as you might expect, they won handily 56-10.
Yep.
So
the offense was able to score touchdowns, which means Brian Kelly didn't have to field any questions, any out-of-line questions, any completely ridiculous questions about his team's offense. It's really out of line to ask a coach about the offense.
I wish the guy who he got so mad at last week would say, what's with the 10 points you gave up?
You would have think he asked, like, what does your old lady's undercarriage smell like?
Yeah.
Like, that's out of line. Like, that was the reaction he gave, so.
What do you think Brian Kelly's old lady's undercarriage smells like?
I don't want to get into it, frankly.
Yeah, I think it smells like...
Literally and figuratively.
3-day-old gumbo. Let's go on to a more pressing game. This was what ESPN and game day people and the national media thought would be a far more interesting game than Missouri, South Carolina this weekend. They went to Miami to watch the Hurricanes face Florida. Florida's obviously been struggling a lot this year, and Billy Napier's job is hanging on by a thread.
By a thread.
And I said in our little group of guys, Miami's going to beat them by 2 touchdowns. And I was wrong. They basically beat them by 3 touchdowns, 26-7. Miami handled Florida quite easily.
Yeah, Florida's in disarray. They have a bad quarterback. He is bad.
Yeah, and he was supposed to be really, really good.
But he's not. He's really, really bad.
Bad at being a quarterback.
Bad at
playing
football.
Yeah. So, Colin, we'll get into it later, but there's another coach on the hot seat. And I want to know where you think, whether we're talking Napier or Pittman, who's going to be out first.
Yeah.
Because I got a feeling neither of them are going to make it through the end of the season.
Whose head's on the block first?
Well, that'll take us to, speaking of a get-right game, Bearcat ball. Texas took on Sam Houston and won, was it 55-0?
Yeah.
Arch Manning looked good and thought he'd really done something by beating, check notes, Sam Houston.
Yeah, he basically stood over Sam Houston player who had sort of he didn't even like truck him. He just kind of got an arm around him and then finally slid off, and Arch is like standing over him. Which, by the way, Jeremiah Trotter got a penalty called for. Apparently, if you're Arch Manning, you can get away with that.
Sure.
Wonder how white that is.
So I think probably the best game of the night was Oklahoma and Auburn. Oklahoma ended up the victor at home over Auburn. Really good game, and Auburn feels like they may have had one stolen from them by the officials. Did you see this, Colin?
That was a very obvious. I mean, obviously not obvious to me. I done an official. I didn't know that rule, but the announcers immediately were like, "Hey, you can't do that."
Yeah,
and,
you can't. Yeah, that's
that they knew. The officials didn't.
And you have to think maybe Oklahoma knew and thought, well, maybe we can get away with it. I don't know. Why do you even line up that
seems
way?
like the worst job in the world, and I wouldn't want to do it. But man, the officiating in our games and the games I've seen highlights of, just dog water this season. Just absolute hot dog water.
Hot dog water.
Yeah, this was a bad one for Auburn. I mean, that's tough to swallow. It does seem like a cheap, shitty thing for Oklahoma to have done.
Sounds very Oklahoma.
Sounds very Oklahoma, exactly. Let's go on to some more Bearcat ball to get through this. Ole Miss took on Tulane. Tulane, not always a bad team, but Ole Miss had no trouble with them. 45-10, they were the victors at home. Tennessee took on University of Alabama, Birmingham Bearcats, and were the victors 56-24.
Mm-hmm. I like that 24 number that got thrown up there. I don't know if that came in garbage time, but
yeah. You expect, Heupel teams to be able to score points, but you're kind of hopeful that maybe they would put the brakes on a team like University of Alabama, Birmingham offensively. But I don't know, maybe it gives us a little hope. This was a game that I was curious about. Vanderbilt, obviously coming off of their big win over South Carolina, had an easy one against Georgia State, and boy, did they make it look easy. 70-21 was the final score.
Ouch. 70 burger for Vanderbilt. This is the first Vanderbilt team that could score 70 points against anybody.
That's right.
In a long time. I mean, obviously Georgia State is just a grade above high school team, but 70 points.
Yeah, the 70 points, no matter who you're playing, it's a lot of points. Memphis took on Arkansas, and I think this was an interesting one. I mentioned Billy Napier being in a lot of trouble. But Memphis beat Arkansas 32-31.
And if you're an Arkansas fan now, you rue the day they decided to bring back play review.
Yeah.
Because they had called this ball dead, and it was an obvious fumble.
Yep.
And as the officials do, they didn't notice. But
on the field.
The cameras did. And
from every angle.
Yeah. What a disaster for Arkansas.
Yeah. They could have just kicked a field goal and won the game, but they kept running it, and they did the only thing you could do to lose that game. Yeah, they found a way to do it. I mean, I don't know that Missouri's going to see Sam Pittman when we play them at the end of this year.
Yeah, when they play Arkansas and we get our annual win, I bet he's not the coach.
Yeah, that's a very tough loss.
It's going to be tough to say goodbye to that great rack.
That's right. First, we had to say goodbye to Bielema's wife's rack.
Yeah,
and now we have to say goodbye to Pittman's own rack. But Arkansas doesn't look like a terrible team, but they don't have good outcomes to their games. And getting beat by Memphis, yikes, that's a bad one. And then we get to the final game of the schedule this week, which was Mississippi State taking on the Northern Illinois Bearcats, winning 38-10. And Mississippi State has looked good, but again, they have not faced much competition to date. So who they are and what they're capable of, we'll find out later in the season. And it's of note to Missouri fans, obviously, because they are on our schedule late in the year.
Yeah, honestly, I watched just the highlights of this game, and of all the games Mississippi State played, this one actually made me feel the best about our, not that I think we're going to lose to Mississippi State, but I was like, Mississippi State won this game handily, but I was not, they didn't look that good.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, I feel like a homer or boom, I feel like Brett Sarver in the way I have this huge confidence in our Tigers. But there's a lot of football that we play before we ever face the likes of Arkansas. So anyway, obviously we won our game against South Carolina. So let's look ahead to next week's game in the SEC. Interesting matchup. Arkansas will be hosting Notre Dame, who refuses to leave the AP poll.
Yeah,
despite their 1-2 record.
How does this matchup get made?
I don't know.
A strange pairing.
It is. I'm curious. It looks like
is Notre Dame trying to join the SEC?
I don't know. It's their second SEC game they've got on their schedule. Didn't work out for them too well the first time. So, Colin, do you want to guess the spread on this one?
17.5. 17.5.
No. You're way off. 5.5 is Notre Dame on the road at
Apparently
Arkansas.
Notre Dame's terrible.
I mean, I just don't think Arkansas is as bad as they actually have played.
Ahmad Hardy is pancaking people all over the field, and we're 4-0.
Yeah.
And yet Notre Dame is still a better team, apparently.
At 1-2. Vanderbilt will be hosting Utah State, which, based on everything we've seen out of Vanderbilt so far, they will have no trouble with them. I think they are
LSU, Ole Miss.
Yeah, LSU, Ole Miss. This will be one of the better matchups of the week.
I feel like this will give us a better idea of each one of these teams is.
That's right.
Because LSU's win against Clemson
it means less now.
Doesn't mean fuck all now.
Yeah. Ole Miss, it's at home. Ole Miss is favored by 1.5 at home.
LSU has not looked good. Their offense has been not good. And I think they might be a little bit overrated, and Ole Miss is not terrible.
They looked better in recent weeks, too. That Chambliss, who was their backup quarterback, played admirably in the win over Arkansas. Just like all Lane Kiffin teams, they seem to be able to score points.
Move the ball, yep.
It's just a matter of can they stop LSU, which has been a problem for Ole Miss teams in the past. So they are the favorite, not by much, but this will be a good SEC matchup, classic SEC matchup. Texas A&M is hosting Auburn.
Implications for Mizzou.
Yeah, both teams
get a chance to really get an idea of what we're working with here as both of these teams are on our schedule. A&M to this point has looked good. Auburn has looked better than I thought. You know what I mean? I really thought I was looking for Auburn to just basically shit the bed right out of the gate and stay shitting the bed, and they have been competitive.
So Texas A&M is a 6.5-point favorite at home over Auburn. If Auburn were able to win this game, it will be a huge redirect for the shape of their program and their season. But as you mentioned, A&M has looked good in their biggest matchup against that Notre Dame team. And then we've got another SEC matchup. We're getting a lot more of these. Tennessee is taking on Mississippi State. Again, another team, Mississippi State, that we will be facing, and I think we will get a good sense of whether they have any juice or not.
The first game is sort of that you're going to say, okay, are they for real or not?
Yeah. And if they do hang in there with a tough Tennessee team, shit. There's another strike against Mizzou having the easiest schedule in the fucking world, which everybody is continuing to say. I keep hearing this favorable schedule shit.
They say it while they continue to jack off Oklahoma and A&M and everybody that's on our schedule. Now, they're all really good teams, except when you're talking about them in reference to our schedule.
When you're talking about our schedule, which means we have to play 5 out of the next 6 games against ranked opponents after UMass. That's super easy.
Just whistling through those games.
Yeah. So just 5 ranked opponents. That's it.
Yeah.
Alabama, Georgia. Okay. Now we're talking real football here. This is it. Alabama is coming in number 17. Football! And Georgia's number 5. Georgia is hosting Alabama as a 3.5-point favorite. I mean, we know Georgia's good. We're going to find out how good.
Better.
Yeah. They do seem to struggle at times in these matchups, just Kirby Smart and company. But Alabama has started off the season pretty ugly, and they're building their way back. I don't know. I think if Alabama wins this thing, it throws the entire SEC into chaos. It's wide open right now. If Alabama wins this thing, it's busted wide open.
Yep.
And it's still, frankly, too early for me to say either one of these teams have any confidence in one of them or the other. I mean, I just hate to go against Alabama, but they haven't been Nick Saban's Alabama.
No.
Okay. South Carolina is going to be hosting Kentucky. This doesn't appear to be Kentucky's year. South Carolina is a 6.5-point favorite opening things up here Sunday night.
I could easily see Kentucky winning this game.
Well, I mean, if they do win this game, it's not just disappointment for unrealized dreams for South Carolina. It's starting to get into disaster mode because Kentucky's not good.
Listen, I'm rooting for South Carolina just because I want this win to look continuously better. So if South Carolina sort of reels off some victories here and makes Mizzou's victory over them look better, I'm all for that. But, I mean, Kentucky's not any good. But, I mean, South Carolina is a quarterback. End of list.
Well, imagine you're South Carolina. You are deeply believe that you're a better program than all these programs because you're more SEC, you're more Southern, blah, blah, blah. Their history doesn't prove any of that, but that's what they believe. Who do you imagine are the lowest of the low teams in the SEC? I think you're going to have on your list Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And if Kentucky wins that game, you'll have gone 0 for 3 against those teams that you deem lowly.
Teams that just aren't SEC enough.
Just don't feel SEC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then that will cause a lot of problems amongst your fan base, I have to imagine. Missouri is hosting their 5th consecutive home game against UMass next weekend. This will be the last of the Bearcat games for us before we face that brutal SEC schedule. Going to be a get-right game. Hopefully Caden Green can get healthy. We've shown that we don't need him in the game to win against good competition. So hopefully we'll cruise in this one. Everybody will stay healthy against UMass, and we'll go into the Alabama game 5-0 and ranked in the top 25.
I tell you what, I'd be in favor of like cutting a couple games off the schedule, and nobody gets to schedule. You know, like you get one like Bearcat game and not 3 total, and then having the playoffs start a little earlier. And so, because I hate the giant month off of football we get, which just seems so stupid
and unnecessary.
Yeah, completely unnecessary. I mean, listen, the illusion that this is anything but professional football is over.
I think
they
we're
are
way past
literally
that.
getting paid. So let's quit pretending. And just like the NFL does, the regular season ends, and then guess what happens a week later? The playoffs start.
Yeah.
And I don't really understand why we couldn't do that. I would take a couple more playoff weekends and easily sacrifice a couple of Bearcat games at the altar of that playoff adventure.
Well, you know, the SEC has long fought against adding like a 9th conference game.
Mm-hmm.
They want to have one more Bearcats game on their schedule than everybody else. And it has made sense because I do feel like they talk a lot about strength of schedule, but at the end of the day, when we get close to playoff time, they just look at your record, you know, and when you talk about 9-win teams and 10-win teams, okay, they start to look at who you played and who you lost to and who you beat. But if you win 11 games or 12 games, you're in, and it doesn't matter how many Bearcat teams you had on your schedule. You're in.
Yeah.
So they made a calculated decision that put our guys in a better shape to get 11-win seasons. It doesn't matter if we're playing Cincinnati or UMass or whoever. Sorry, Cincinnati, but, you know, Bearcats. Anyway, so here we are playing UMass next weekend, and hopefully, like I said, we'll be coming into Alabama, and that Alabama-Georgia game means a lot for us because we're going to know exactly what we're up against to some degree.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it.
And that has been Around the Horn. So, Colin, it's time for our awards segment of the show, and, you know, we have the TJ Moe Douche of the Week award, obviously.
Douche of the Week.
And it goes to the college football's greatest douche of that week, Shane Beamer.
He is a front runner all the time.
He is such a fucking douche. I think
I loved how Mizzou's social media trolled him.
After
his little comments about the press room, because
and what a dainty bitch.
He couldn't deign to be interviewed in such a terrible, terrible room. You know, oh my God.
You can't just answer questions for 30 minutes in a fucking janitor's closet. And, you know, like, I'm sorry that your private jet awaits, I guess, but like, fucking answer your questions. Ignore the drippy pipes in the background. And just get the fuck out of there. But you got to cry about it like you're fucking a debutante. Good Lord. You're talking about weeping vaginas. Brian Kelly, step aside. Shane Beamer.
He just skipped the press conference this time. He just got into his little tiny car, all 411 of him, and drove away mad.
What about his comments about Trotter, too?
I know. Like, what did he say? That's douchey.
Yeah, he mentioned that Trotter...
They paid a lot of money for that guy.
Yeah, that's right.
You bet we did. Yeah. That's how football works now.
That's right. It's not illegal, Shane. In fact, maybe you guys could have paid a little bit more.
Basically, it's what
had more than -9 fucking rushing yards.
Oklahoma State and Oregon and Oklahoma State's little pissing match they had a couple weeks ago in the press. Basically, essentially the same thing. You know, Oklahoma State crying poor, and it's like, sorry, we have the money to spend to get the best players. Dims the brakes.
Gundy's another guy that's always on the short list for Douche of the Week just because, man, look at that fucking hair. He gets rid of the mullet and he goes to the goddamn perm from the 80s. He cried about he lost again. That guy is fucking short-lived for the world, too, after having been at Oklahoma State forever.
Give me a break. They had T. Boone Pickens for years.
He gave him $1 billion with a B. And now they're crying about not having NIL. I'm like, shut the fuck up. You live on a fucking oil well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to hear it. Nobody wants to hear it. Fucking
especially
win or lose.
From Shane Beamer.
Yeah, and look, it's not like we're fucking Alabama and Georgia and we're these blue blood programs that are getting all the breaks just because we've figured out the new world order about NIL deals and transfer portals. Drinkwitz, that's where he fucking excels. And that means he's a better coach than you now.
Yeah,
Sorry
that's right.
that 5 years ago, Dabo Sweeney, you didn't need the fucking portal. You didn't need NIL dollars. But like, you couldn't have bet more wrong on that whole fucking deal. You couldn't have bet more fucking wrong. And it's just like steering into a tree. Like, what do you think we're going to have? You're just going to outcoach them?
Conzo Martin was still our coach, and he's just like, they're like asking him about the NIL when it first started and all that. And he's like, I don't really live in that. I don't really worry about too much about that. I'm like, well, you better.
Yeah. I'm too noble for that, I
Yeah.
guess. Well, guess what? Now you're coaching high school ball, I guess. I don't know. You got to get with the program or not. And that's what Drinkwitz has done. Love him or hate him, Drinkwitz is like, this is what it's going to take to win in the year 2025. So we're going to do everything we can to do that thing. And sorry, 5 years ago it was different, but it's different now. So we're just going to adapt. And, Dabos of the world.
Yeah. Okay, boomer.
Yeah. They just shit out of luck. And that's why a lot of the guys like Nick Saban said, fuck that. I'm going to be a broadcaster because of my dynamic charm.
Yeah. So anyway, Shane Beamer, douche of the week, though honorable mention, Arch Manning flexing on Sam Houston Bearcats. That was pretty, that was the biggest poser move in the world. That spoke to me of a guy who's like confidence is rattled and is looking for an excuse to sort of, he's psyching himself up in the mirror, like, you know what I mean? Like, I can do this.
He's trying too hard.
Yeah, and he's strutting around in Sam Houston. But anyway, pretty douchey move, but ultimately Shane Beamer takes the cake.
Yeah, it's always good. He is very punchable, and it's good to have him out of town. Shane Beamer, fucking douche of the week.
Douche of the week.
Okay, Colin, we have obviously our Kirk Farmer's Hair Player of the Game Award.
Sure.
Our greatest honor. I'm going to throw this at you. I haven't even talked to you about it. You can veto this idea. It doesn't even have to be a forever thing, but I mean, part of me wants to give out a Brady Cook Tough Heart Award.
We could
sponsored by Brady Cook's Tough Heart.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Robert Meyer, the kicker, maybe he's not the player of the game.
Yeah.
But that fucking kid,
that's a big moment.
Steely-eyed fucking missile man, doesn't even flinch, nails that 40-yarder right through the fucking uproast to ice this game after having doinked an extra point early in the game. You got to give a true freshman kid a lot of credit for going in a situation like that and not fucking flinching.
Another situation where I wasn't nearly as nervous as I think everybody else was. I was like, I don't know. I was just doing the math. Like, he got recruited to a Division I school. Like, it's a 40-yard kick, and it's a big moment. Make no mistake. And the pressure is on, but I'm also confident that if you're kicking for an SEC school, you've kicked several 40-yard field goals over and over. I mean, it wasn't a 55-yard kick. It was a 40-yard kick, which truthfully, a few years ago wasn't all that routine, but has really just become routine. I mean, in the NFL, they're kicking 60-yard field goals now. So, and we've saw what guys like Harris and Mevis can do. So I was just like, listen, this is routine for him. If he doesn't let the moment get too big for him, it's 40 yards. He can do this. And he did do it. Right down the gut.
All of that makes a ton of sense. But to me, the ghost of Andrew Baggett was climbing directly up my fucking lower colon. Because this was a very similar situation to 2013 when Andrew Baggett doinked the kick and allowed them to come back. And Connor Shaw fucking did what he did.
About it.
No. But he exercised those demons. The north end zone has been excavated. And he fucking pumped it right through. And I hope he was rewarded in trim. So if there were a Brady Cook Tough Heart Award, he earned it that way. But as far as the Kirk Farmer's Hair Award, the real award.
Now it's time for Kirk Farmer's Hair Player of the Game.
Colin, we got to give it to our man Hardy again, don't you think? 2 weeks in a row.
And not only is he, doing a great job, but he looks so dominant doing it. It's so much fun to watch him. And it's fun to watch the announcers, like people who are not paying attention until just now. They're like, holy fuck, this guy's bowling ball of butcher knives. I'm like, yeah, he is. You should be paying attention to this guy. He's effing good.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine playing against him? He's the kind of runner that is getting national attention just because of highlight reels. I mean, you see what the touchdown he scored, the long run he had where he just, I think, broke 5 tackles on one.
Stiff arming a guy down the sideline. Like,
nobody is like this. We've never, and look, this is crazy to say because Missouri in the last 4 years has had 2 of their they've set the record for running yards in a season twice in the last 4 years. And this guy is miles better than both of them. And I loved Cody Schrader. I loved Tyler Beatty. But Ahmad Hardy is a better running back. And I think those two guys would tell you.
Well, and I don't think that's rose-colored glasses either, because, you know, if social media is to be believed, you know, national, you know, press is being like, this is the best running back in the country. And based on the results so far, it's hard to argue with them.
And then
I agree.
Then you got Roberts, who is fucking having a great year
Yeah,
himself.
for some reason is a little bit in his shadow, obviously, partially because, again, it's not just the fact that Hardy's getting these yards, it's the way he's getting this so impressive. But Roberts is no joke and very hard to take down in his own right, and got a lot of burst, and it's a
1-2 punch.
Yeah, and had 76 yards and a touchdown. I mean, he's doing his part. Had the sort of back-breaking touchdown towards the end of the game. You know, Hardy's obviously wins the award, but honorable mention for Mr. Roberts.
Yeah. So, you know, he's the reason Missouri is as strong as they are right now, because even if the passing game's not working, and the passing game was working fine, you know, Roberts just can Hardy and Roberts combined, they can take over a game, and that's what they did. They needed to do it in the fourth quarter, and they just did.
Yep.
And like you said earlier, South Carolina was gassed. There's just no way they were going to win that game.
Nope.
So, Ahmad Hardy, your second time of the 2025 season, you're wearing the golden locks. Congratulations. You are the Kirk Farmer's Hair Player of the Game. Well, Colin, we are heading into UMass. It's kind of one of those live-by situations where we will get to see guys and
just need people not to get hurt. That's the goal this week.
Yeah,
let's see some Zollers action. Let's see a lot of. Let's get it. Let's put these guys under the ground early, and so we can play second and third stringers, because ultimately, one, keeps you healthy, and two, it doesn't hurt to get second and third stringers reps.
Yeah.
You know, because if injuries happen, you know, they've got some game experience, a little seasoning, it's a good thing. So let's put them away early. Let's get some second stringer, some PT, and get us some victory.
Look ahead to Alabama.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to overlook anybody, yada, 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 but this is UMass. I am overlooking them.
Yeah.
I'm officially overlooking them.
It's not a trap game. They just
no. South
them.
Carolina could easily have been. I mean, you can't even call it a trap game because you had to take them seriously in their own right.
This game, I feel like, is going to be about a quarter long, because I feel like your defensive and offensive lines can sort of live on adrenaline for about a quarter. You know, where there's like they're going to match up with you just on grit and want to, and then just the inevitable will, you know, the physicality of the line on both sides is just going to wear them down. And by the second half, it's going to be, it'd be one of those games where you're going to see a lot of players limping off the field, you know, holding
a lot of Charlie horses.
Yeah. A lot of that, like, at least that's what I'm expecting and what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
And what it should be, frankly.
So, like I said, that'll put us at 5-0. The real challenge will be then Alabama. We'll find out we've never beaten Alabama since we've been in the SEC. This is the only team in the conference. I mean, we haven't played Texas yet as in the SEC. So,
but they've only been here for 2 years.
So. Right. But I mean, so like technically you can add them to the list, but Alabama's been here obviously the whole time.
Yeah.
And we've had our chances against them, including in the SEC championship game. We've never gotten the win. And God, if we were to beat Alabama in that circumstance, you talk about being taken seriously, it would put us at 6-0. This is a lot of talking, you know, for being 3 weeks out, because we got a UMass, then a bye, then Alabama.
It's a lot of ifs and buts.
It is, but, you know.
Grandma had balls, she'd been grandpa.
But we got to play the game, and anything can happen on any given Saturday. Who knows? This could be the year as much as any of them. So
I'm ready.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. This will be the real test of our season, and it'll be a determining factor on which direction we're headed, college football wise, as playoff wise as well. So anyway, this is the heart of college football. It's happening. I'm excited, Colin. Till next week, MIZ.
ZOU.